Alright guys, while I was playing my Pathfinder for the last little while, I found a bunch of things while I was tinkering with my Pathfinder that I could apply back to my warrior. And any armor-based build can use these things. So if you're running any build that uses armor, this is going to be useful tech for you. And you might even be able to utilize this on some other classes as well if you set it up properly. I can think of a few ways myself. But if you're running any armor-based build, you should be able to implement this setup. And I'm going to go through a bunch of different configurations with this setup that you can use to just generate armor. I've basically just been tinkering with things because I'm pretty much done with the season. So when I'm bored, I just tinker with mechanics in the game and just sort of mess around with stuff. So there's a few different ways you can use to generate armor automatically in this game using different Herald skills: Wind Dancer, Scavenge Plating, and Charge Infusion. And I'm going to go through all of them in this video, and there's a bunch of different configurations that they won't be on the Maxroll. So if you check the Maxroll trying to figure out how it works, you're not going to get what you need to get out of this. So watch the video and then learn what you need to, and then apply it to your situation, because this does work with Herald of Ice. It works with Herald of Blood. You could probably even find a way to incorporate Herald of Ash in here if you wanted more clear. You could drop Charge Infusion. If you want more defenses, you could use Charge Infusion. And then you can also use Wind Dancer or not use Wind Dancer. So it doesn't matter how much spirit you have on your character. If you don't have extra sources of spirit, you will be able to find a way to incorporate this into your build, especially if it's armor based. There's a few ways you could do it some other ways, but this is mostly dedicated towards armor. This whole video is around armor. So I'll take you through it and show you how it works. Alright guys, so I've been experimenting with a bunch of ways to automate defenses when you're playing warrior. The first one is just to use Wind Dancer. And you can see I'm running Scavenge Plating on my skills here. And Scavenge Plating is really strong this patch because armor is actually really strong this patch, especially when you use these elemental armor rolls. So when the enemy hits me, it'll proc my Wind Dancer. And now I used a similar type of this tech back on my Pathfinder. So if you're curious about that, you can go watch that. But this also works on Warrior too if you set it up right. And it will basically, what the interaction does is you'll just play the game normally. You'll run up to some enemies. The enemies will hit you, proc your Wind Dancer. The Wind Dancer will break armor. So when you use armor break support gems on your Wind Dancer, armor break and armor explosion, and then I just have bleed, life leech, magnified area, and I have the Herald of Blood as well too. So this will break the armor of the enemies around you, and then that will proc your Scavenged Plating. So this basically automates Scavenged Plating for you, so you don't actually have to do anything to get Scavenged Plating. And there's a few different ways you can do this, but this is just an example of one. And then you'll look and you'll see Scavenged Plating gone. Now I can use this. I'll just open this breach, let some enemies hit me. Boom, my Scavenged Plating goes back to full as soon as I get hit. Now I can also remove the armor break from my Wind Dancer. We'll just go away from these enemies for a second here. Let this run out. So we'll let this run out. And this also works if you use it on your Herald of Blood as well. So we'll just let this burn out. Okay, so that's burnt out. Now, the second way you can do this is you can actually just add armor break onto your Herald of Blood. And I'm just running bleed, overreach, poison 3, bursting plague, and then armor break on my Herald of Blood. So now when I go in and start killing some enemies and proccing Herald of Blood, do you see how I got full Scavenge Plating again? Now I'm not running Scavenge Plating on my Wind Dancer anymore. So I'm not breaking armor with my Wind Dancer. That was just me breaking armor with my Herald of Blood. So just by regular attacking with my Herald of Blood with armor break, I can generate basically endless amounts of Scavenge Plating when I'm just jumping around the map, because my Herald of Blood is popping all over the place. Do you see that? And do you see how I'm not running a source of armor break on any of my other skills. I only have one source of armor break, and it's just on my Herald of Blood. So when I'm jumping around through the map, just playing as normally, I can run Scavenge Plating, and you'll see, like, I don't have it on the Wind Dancer, so I'm not breaking armor with Wind Dancer, but I'm just gonna wait until this burns out, and then I'll hit some more enemies so you can see again. So there, it's all burnt out. Now we'll go and find some enemies and we'll just start leap slamming around and proccing some Heralds of Blood. Well, I might need some more enemies because there's just, these enemies are too weak. Whoopsie. Oh, see, there you go. See how my Scavenged Plating filled back up? I'm just jumping around and just proccing Heralds of Blood, and my Herald of Blood will break armor, and then that will give me Scavenged Plating. So this is another way that you can just generate Scavenged Plating for free if you're just like AFK leap slamming around in the map. So again, you can use your Herald of Blood with armor break on it to generate charges for your Scavenged Plating. So this will also work if you don't want to run it on Wind Dancer. So if you're running Herald of Blood and you have enough spirit to run Scavenged Plating, you can use armor break on your Herald of Blood to increase the amount of armor that you can get out of your Scavenged Plating without having to run it on any of your other skills. So you won't actually have to break armor with any other skill. You can just break armor with your Herald of Blood, or you can break armor with Wind Dancer if you want to run Wind Dancer. So there's two like super simple ways that you can incorporate this in and increase your armor value. Now there's another way you can do it too, by using Charge Infusion too, because when you have endurance charges, you get 19% more defenses. So if you have enough of spirit to run the Charge Infusion, you can do it that way as well, because again, you're going to have your armor break getting funneled to you through your Herald of Blood or your Wind Dancer. And when these skills break armor, they will give you endurance charges. So I'll run over and just let some enemies hit me. As you see, as these enemies are hitting me, I'm at full endurance charges. I haven't done anything. My Wind Dancer procced, it broke a bunch of armor. Boom, full endurance charges. So I'm able to funnel my Charge Infusion and funnel my Scavenged Plating at the same time. So now I'm at 54,000 armor. So I'm going to give you an example. And I don't have a lot of armor investment in this character on my tree. So I'm going to go away. I'm going to let all this stuff run out so you can see what I mean. So I'll let the Charge Infusion burn out and the Scavenged Plating burn out. And I'll look at my character's armor now. See, it's only at 32. Now I'll run back in and let these enemies hit me a little bit and proc the armor breaks. So there we go. Now we're at we have Scavenged Plating again from armor breaks. Annoying and rare enemies. They already have broken armor. I need enemies that don't have broken armor. Okay, there we go. See, now we've brocked all this broken armor, Scavenged Plating, and these Charge Infusions. So now that we have Charge Infusions and Scavenged Plating, we're up to 54,000 armor. So we basically doubled our armor without doing anything except just getting hit. So you can utilize this in the map when you're just running around. Enemies will just hit you. They'll infinitely funnel you endurance charges and Scavenged Plating by just hitting you if you're using Wind Dancer. But they'll also do the same thing if you're proccing your Herald of Blood, because your Herald of Blood breaks armor. So you can combo all three of these together if you want to add a bunch of defenses for free. And you can add the Charge Infusion if you want even more defenses. But even if you just use Herald of Blood with armor break and Scavenged Plating, you'll be able to generate Scavenged Plating with just these two. If you want to generate it even easier, you can add Wind Dancer. And if you want even more defenses, you can add Charge Infusion as well. So these all combo together. And there's a few other ways you can do it too, and maybe I'll add those to this video as well. But this is the super, super easy way to give your character a bunch of armor for free. So I can literally double my armor. Alright, and it's important to note that this setup does work if you're a Herald of Ice user. This setup with the Herald of Ice and the armor breaks with the Wind Dancer and the Charge Infusion. You can also just use the Herald of Ice and the Scavenged Plating. You don't even need the Charge Infusion or the Wind Dancer. So if you're just running Herald of Ice and Scavenged Plating together, you can add the armor break supports, Magnified Area, Armor Explosion, Armor Break, and then you could use Demolisher or Smelting, and then you could use Heft. And if you set it up like this, you should be able to break enough armor with just your Herald of Ice to funnel your Scavenged Plating. So I'll show you what I mean. So I have no Scavenged Plating right now, you can see, and I have none of those supports on my Wind Dancer. And if I just jump around on some enemies for a little while, so yeah, there I got one stack of Scavenged Plating, and this doesn't stack Scav Plating as fast as the Herald of Blood does, I find, but it still stacks enough Scav Plating that you see I still have 10 full stacks, even with just jumping around. And you probably already know about how Herald of Ice works, because Herald of Ice is what a lot of people use to clear, and it's still a very popular way to clear, and you can still blow up the whole screen with it. So you can still use this with those same armor break supports, and it will still funnel your charge infusion, and it will still funnel your scavenge plating. So you can funnel your scavenge plating and your charge infusion with your Herald of Ice as well. So you can use Herald of Ice or Herald of Blood, but if you're using it with the Herald of Ice, just make sure you have this source of cold damage like I talked about before in other videos. As long as you have a source of cold, like cold entombment or embitter, if you have a source of extra damage, whatever it might be. But then you use the Herald of Ice and you add the armor break supports into your Herald of Ice so that you can break armor. And I'm not even using them in the Wind Dancer. So if you're using Wind Dancer as well, you can also do this to generate, but you can even just generate it with your Herald skills if you're using either Herald of Blood or Herald of Ice. Both of these will funnel your scavenge plating, and it'll basically just automate your defenses when you're just jumping around the map, because you'll just endlessly be breaking armor. So no matter which setup you're using on your warrior, you can use this. This setup will work on everything. Like, this setup will work on everything, no matter what you put it on. So feel free to use this on literally any setup, as long as you can find a way to break armor with either your Herald skills or your Wind Dancer. You'll be able to funnel your scavenge plating and then give yourself a bunch of extra armor for free with no investment. But anyways, guys, that's pretty much it. So if this video helped you, make sure you hit the like button and thumbs it up. And if you have any suggestions or any ideas to help other people, make sure you pop them in the comments section below. And I'll probably just see you guys on the next one.